All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. Why? I'm not in the damn. I know. I'm all right. All right, everybody, if you want to, Mr. Ron's going to go ahead and introduce himself and everything because demonstrators always do a better job of telling you who they are than I ever have. And a quick side note that's not really a side note, we do have one of our founding members, Mr. Clay Spencer, sitting right up front here. I think Clay's 92, 93 now.
How old are you, Clay? Enough? Not enough yet.
All right. Go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Athens Forge for having me come down. It's very much of an honor to be in this forge and working. Y'all just don't know the talent. Well, you do know. The talent, the opportunity you have here is just incredible. The knowledge that can be given to you if you're just willing to come and participate and take a great part of it. It's just very fortunate. I myself, years ago, our local guild was not doing real well, and I came that close to making this my permanent forge. 98 miles from the house, but I'd come every month. And it's just a great place to be here. But anyway, a little bit about myself. I started blacksmithing at the Rutherford County Blacksmith Association about 1990. Did that for a few years. My wife decided to start a business, and I had to change a little bit at work too, working longer hours. But I really did get really going hard to about 2003 or something like that. And started going to the folk school a lot and just went hog wild after that. My wife became a blacksmith's widow, she said, pretty much overnight once I got into this. So it was very much a passion of mine. I live and breathe it every day, every night. I think I go home and sleep about it and think about what you can do. The opportunity is wide open for anybody out there, just wide open. All kinds of different directions you can go in it, chasing, repoussé. Travis over here is one of the finest artists in blacksmithing of almost everything there is in blacksmithing, I believe, as well as many other members. Also, you have Clay here as your mentor, and he's been my mentor for years. So I've called him many a time and asked questions and stuff. But anyway, today I was talking to Al, and he asked me, when I was asked to do this, I said, well, what should I do? And he said, you know, and I'll ask that question now, the majority of people that's only been blacksmithing less than 5 years, that's here right now. Raise your hand. Okay, quite a few. That's great. Because we're going to make, all we're making today is this simple little spade hook. I'll pass this around, this one right here. But that's all we're going to be doing. Just on that side. But as a teaching element, little spade hook has a lot of stuff going on it. People don't realize the amount that you can learn just on these simple hooks. Don't take a hook for granted ever in your life as you're becoming through your blacksmithing career. There's just so many processes that you're going to learn and do very efficiently without starting with some great big 3/4 inch bar stock and wearing your arm out. So, and you can burn it up real quick so you don't have to take long to start back over. See, that's what we're going to be doing is that. So what I've done here, I've taken this. See, this was my first one. This was my second one. Well, about my fourth one here. We'll talk about that later. But that's what we're going to be doing here. The first piece I'm going to make is going to be the center style here. So we're going to do the twist. That's the first thing we're going to do. You've seen Tom here passing things in and out of the fire, pre-warming this anvil or vise up here. The reason we're pre-warming it, you can see on this twist right here, the twist is a little bit longer. It's not quite as tight because the vise sucked the heat out of it. Now you can I could have turned this over and caught it from the other side, but I like to go ahead and just pre-warm this because there's times that you've got your anvil warm or your vise warm that this will not happen. Or you can always grab a torch and throw that heat on it too. So I'll pass this piece around here. And this is what we'll be doing there. The first thing we're going to do is do the twist. You got that warm, Tom? Okay.
And can you grab the pieces in the fire?
Yep. Oh no, you grab that for me.
Okay.
So I've got this sort of measured out. There's some directions there on these directions on how much. This twist could go way down in the stock, but this is kind of what I've come up with. I've isolated, I want to do the twist first because I got a square on each end. Then we're going to do the spade on the opposite end of that. We'll talk about that.
Is that ready?
Yeah. Go back in the fire and get it hotter, please. I kind of like to come out a little more white heat there if I can, but that's okay. It's just a little bit better to come out a little extra heat because the time I dilly-dally around with this right here, it's going to lose quite a bit of heat rather quickly. So I'm going to let this stick up about 3.5 inches. I'll take this scale here, mark over it just like this, preset here. I always like to use preset instruments, whether you make something that's a given length, if you're going to make production. So, okay, this fits here. It's like a jig almost, like Clay's very famous for jig making. But I'm going to drop in here. I'm going to drop this thing here, this twisting wrench, because this is 1 inch in width. I'm going to drop it down about 1/2 inch below the top, just eyeball, and I'll twist there. And that's going to leave me a twist of about 1.75 inches long. Should be mathematically. All right, catch it on the edge, Tom. No, bottom edge.
Down here?
Yeah, down on the bottom, because you're going to come under the angle, on the edge. Okay, come on in that way. I'm going to use these vice spacers here also. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. That's good right there. I got that down about 1/2 inch below the top, or 1/4 inch or so. Okay, you can kind of see here where the bottom of that, see your tongs. We're going to go back in the fire. We'll come in and catch another one. Let me straighten this out right quick. You can see at the bottom of this right here, this area right here has got the long twist where I was talking about it sucking the heat out. So I'm going to go back in the fire this time. We're just going to catch it on this end, and I'll finish this twist up here. You can see what I'm talking about. Or if you got a big torch, use that torch. Use these tongs right here, Tom. These will be a little bit more stable than those there. Any questions or any statements? I like to use vice spacers quite a bit. It keeps the vice from being twisted around when you got something on one end, the other end of the jaws. It's not a machinist vice where you're going to be square. So what I like to use is we have a big ring hangs over like this, and it got little vice spacers hanging in that. So that way you can just hang the ring over it. I keep these in my toolbox. So I grabbed these this morning before I left out. Kind of help do that with. Yeah. Drop down. Oh, yeah, that's good. Actually, I want to go in the other way. Tom and I have not done this together, so he didn't know. That's fine. That looks nice there, pretty good. Now I'm a big believer. I use a term all the time, keep your house in order all the time when you're forging. When I mean keep your house in order, if anybody's ever built anything carpenter, you're always checking plumb, level, and square. So I'm always keeping everything as plumb, level, and square as I possibly can. So always remember that when you're forging. It will help your life out a lot. Okay, now we're going to catch this top part right there. And I'll come out of there and go to the anvil here. There's nothing any worse than trying to forge a bar that's bent like this, and you turn it, it goes over like this, and it turns back and forth. But if you can just turn it back and forth, it's a lot cleaner on your forging that way. It's just a simple little thing to do, but it helps out tremendously. I like to use these leather face hammers quite a bit to straighten stuff without damaging it. Okay, that'll be high enough. Short heat.
Good?
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So now I'm going to point the end of this right here. We're going to put a point at the top of it. Always work the edge of the anvil, because then your hammer is able to get back over the air, then the air part out there, and it will allow you to hit down with more force. The edge of your hammer will not be hitting the top of the anvil. I don't think Travis would like it very much if I started working on his anvil too much. While I'm doing this, I'm going to be rounding this up. And I'll get into the reason why. I'm going to take another heat on this time.
Yes, sir.
Right there.
Stick it in. Yep.
Okay. When I'm forging, for my style at least, when I'm working the coal, I like to work from the top down. I don't ever put just straight in, because you're going to make a little pocket in a little cavity. The hottest part of the forge is the coal, not the air going back. So if the coal, the most amount of coal touching touching your stock, it's going to get hotter faster. That's sort of been my theory on years. Plus, you will a lot of times end up with a little cave, which cave fires are really great for forge welding. I like to do those, but I kind of like to have that coal right against my stock. Everybody's going to have their own theory on a lot of stuff in their forging habits. You make your own theory, whatever works for you, do it. That's the main thing. Any questions at this point?
Just the tip.
Yeah. That's good. I'm going to come on this side of the anvil and take that square stock and round it up now. That little bit of mass that's left on the top above the twist. Come back in here now. Round all this up. All right, you don't get a lot of heat.
Long heat.
Not a lot of heat, just keep it warm. I'm going to be talking just a second. I always take tongs or something and tap that coal down, make it tight. That's just my style. Like I said, make it your own. Now, one of the things that when I was teaching green coal quite a bit, which we have a very extensive class in our local guild, people did the spade hook and their tops began to look like this. It bulge out like this, like that. That's the way it looks. Why? Because we force a point. What we need to do, though, is you come in, let me erase this. When you got your stock sort of here and here, it's forged kind of like what it is now, and this down here is round, here, kind of rounded like that. I come in here with a ball peen hammer, and I'm going to take and put a little indentation here. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, backed up by the anvil, the horn of the anvil. Everybody see what I've done here? So what I've done now, I've preformed the steel that I want to look like, which is this right here in the mass. I'll pass this around here. This is something I made several years ago. It's the 3/8 spade hook as well as the 1/2 inch. Hi. So on that same note, this down here I made round. It was square originally. When you take a piece of round stock and it's backed up by the anvil and you hit it here with your hammer, this is going to go this way and this way. So you're going to get a lot more spread in your leaf than you would if you left it square. Same thing is going to happen up here. By me hitting that down, that's going to get this way and this way. So what I'll be doing next, I'll be taking this stock here. I've got it rounded already. When I was over there a minute ago, this piece here is rounded. And I'll go to the edge of the anvil. And I usually like to do this right after I've rounded it. I didn't do it. And I'll come in and I'll set the stock at an angle when it's rather cold. When it's cold, I have the opportunity to decide where I want to make this reference line at. I'm going to come in at a sharp angle here, and that's going to put a little indentation. In my stock, like that. That's going to give me a reference point. One thing I didn't say earlier, my style of forging is risk mitigation. I'm going to do everything I can to keep from screwing up because I guarantee you I can screw it up if anybody can. Been there too many times, bought the t-shirt, and sold a whole dozens of them. But when I do this in a kind of a colder stage, sort of a red heat, it allows me to give us a little time, and all I want to do is put that indentation. So when I come out of that fire with my old man eyes, I can kind of feel that notch fall on the edge of that anvil, and I hit it one time, and I'm going to walk my tong end up and keep hitting it down till this becomes more like this. And then I'll be turning over to my cross peen, and I'm going to start spreading it left and right. Any questions or statements on that? It's one thing I found over the years, to get that nice spread of stock going around really allows you to get it really wide. All right. You got it? Yeah. Okay. Now I brought that down to just about that much in thickness. I'm leaving quite a bit of mass. All I've done is just made a little bit of flat on this side. You can see how it's got the little offset there. See it back there? This is flat side there. The end is spread out there. You can already start seeing some of the shape I'm talking about. Yeah. Right in that area. Now, a good blacksmith will admit his mistake. I stepped myself one step a little too soon. I didn't do this little part right here. I still got time to do that. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to take this rounding hammer, ball peen, and now I put that little indentation in it. Right here. You can kind of see it here a little bit more pronounced than I had earlier. Right here I'm talking about. On that tip. Kind of gave it that little swoop. Right in that tip, right in there.
Show it to the camera.
Show it to the camera? Okay. Where's the camera? Okay. Do I need to back it up? All right. There you go. We'll warm that back up again, and I'll come in and I'll start my cross peen, which is nothing but a wedge driving in the metal. It's going to spray. This part here is the steering wheel part of the hammer. You can guide the steel anywhere you want to go. Twist it this way, this way. You can actually roll it up on the edge of the cross peen and work more detail. You don't have to use the whole piece. If you need to just peen something out this way or this way. But there's all different style cross peens. But that's going to be your steering wheel part of the hammer, I call it. A little more heat. Yeah, a little bit more, go a little bit deeper. You can cut the air back if you like. Just cut it off for a second. A lot of times I will run a forge, what I call backwards. When I'm getting stuff that's real thin, real critical and easy to burn up, when I'm over here forging, the fan is running because I always run an electric blower. When I go to the forge, I cut the air off. I'm going to say this real plainly, reducing. I'm going to say that reducing again, the opportunity to burn your steel up. I'm not saying it fixes it, but without that fan running and me getting over here and I trip over something and I see sparks coming out of there, it reduces that opportunity. So but I want to turn the fan on now when he comes out. Coming along pretty good there. I had this in alignment with this piece down here. I'm watching the edges here. When I'm standing at the anvil, and I want something to be pretty perpendicular to it, I'm looking at this edge of the stock right here and this top edge here. And I'm looking down the sides. If I see any of that side, my eyeball is like I could drop a plumb bob off my nose and be right there. And my eyeball's looking at that. I can adjust this way or this way to make sure that I don't forge a twist or something that I don't want perpendicular. I want this to be perpendicular to this bar right here. So that's the reason I work real hard on trying to get that. Always keep your house in order as you're forging. Kind of keep things picked up around you. Just kind of in order, make sure everything's good and clean, working well. Any questions, anybody? Step a little bit hard. got a little twist in it. I forced a little bit of twist in that right there because looking at it, it's with my bar here, it's got a slight little canter this way as far as the spade. So I'm gonna go back, get a long heat in it, back into the twist and everything, and then I'll come back and lightly bring that back. So keep everything plumb, level, and square as you're doing everything you're doing. Wire brush that up good. Travis, where do you get these? He made them? Oh. Oh. Water. Water right here. Blacksmith Depot? Okay. I like those long bristles. They're nice. They're really clean good. One day I had a piece I was holding in my hand like this, and I handed it to somebody. They said, "Oh God, it's hot." I said, "Well, it's just warm," I thought. But they dropped it all on the floor. But this is sort of what we got right now. By presetting a lot of mass, by presetting those forms when it was in a larger mass, it allows you just to hammer stuff out and it becomes that. So just kind of remember, it's something you want to form in some spade or something round, just preset the shape, blast that out and send it left and right, or however you want to send it with a crossbeam hammer. The next thing we want to do is I have another piece here.
Stuff on the back side of your box too.
No piece of metal about that long.
No, I was looking for the short piece, another piece of that. This is it here, not that. Anyway, we're going to form a taper on this end right here. I want that to be about 4 inches long after I taper it, forge the taper out. And I want it to end up about 1/4 to 3/16 in width or thickness left. I want to keep a 1/2 inch mass running long ways with it. So, because I'm going to bring another piece of 1/2 inch bar around that. I don't want it any wider than half. Like for it to not be any less. So I'll be using a gap gauge, checking that regularly. This is one I made years ago, and it's not as fancy as the one that Travis and them made down at Ernie's class that I didn't make it to, but I do have a little ruler on it, and these are all 1/4, 3/8, 1/2 inch on up to 1 inch. This is a real handy little tool to have for quickly measuring stuff when it's hot. Buy these also. Ron, you were making these for a little while. Ron Howard, you were making these for a while. I've got one of his. I should have brought it. But, it's too nice. It's too pretty. Ron does some really nice work. We get back with that piece there. That piece made around here, it is. That piece making round? Okay. Thank you. Tom, you might have to use these tongs here. I almost recommend using these.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, like that right there. Yep. I'll put these down here. While that's warming up, I'm going to get a little drink of water that I had right here. I always stay hydrated. I'm the world's worst on not staying hydrated, so I've had issues with it. A few years back at Tanner Hill, I got dehydrated and ended up saving my life on that one, though. Jeff Jarrett gave me some Pedialyte. He said, when you get home, go see a cardiologist. So about a month later, I made it through the cardiologist. I went down to Florida and walked and hiked and did everything. Made it back to the cardiologist. He said, you might need a stent. And I said, okay, what's your schedule? I'm going to Charleston next week, be over there for a week or so. I walked all over Charleston. Came back to do a stent. I had triple bypass, 100% on the Widowmaker, 60 and 40 on another two. So I was walking around time bomb, just didn't know it. Catch that crossways in there. Yeah, like that. Now I'm going to catch this. I want to make sure I'm looking at the little spade up here, where I'm looking at that, because I want to catch this on the side. For me, when I'm forging anything to a given dimension, I like to take the finished end, which I'm wanting to be about 1/4 to 3/16, down to a pretty close size. Because I want the rest of it to be about 4 inches. That end is pushed out just a little bit. Keep your house in order. I'll upset the end of it back like this. So that gets that back square again. I'm losing a little bit of heat. Your favorite friend in blacksmithing is heat. Any questions or statements at this point? Y'all quiet. I'm not doing that good. Yeah, that's good. Always brush back to you when you're demonstrating. You don't know who might be sitting in front of you. If you do know who it is, you can press forward. You might want to shower a little bit of sparks. Train your eye. Clay has always said that, Clay, what's the best tool you'll ever have in your toolbox? Your eye. Clay's always told me that. Once you get your eye trained, that will help you out so much. Has anybody ever had cataract surgery? I see you're wearing glasses. You still hold your glasses after cataract surgery? It didn't work. Well, I've been diagnosed with cataracts. I've been begging for them for a long time, but I didn't jump on it real quick. I'm hoping to change my eye back because I've always said I don't have a lot of money, but I'd give a lot of money what I got to not wear glasses. I used to do a lot of mechanic work, so walk by, get a 1/2-inch wrench, keep walking, do the toolbox. Now I go, let's get a 3/8, 7/16, 1/2, 9/16, maybe a 5/8. So, it did metric. Yeah, y'all young folks brought that metric in here. For years, metric was on an automobile was just on air conditioning parts. That was metric. Travis's anvil is 4 inches wide, so that's going to be my place to stop. Learn what your widths are on your anvil. When you're forging, it will help you out a lot. A little bit thick right there. That's pretty much got that. Let's set this just a little bit here. Let's see what we got for total length. I want somewhere around 11 inches it is. Yep, it's right at 11, real close to it. So we're not sending anybody to the moon on this like clay would be. So I'm willing to give that up there. Having a nice flat anvil is a very good thing, but also I've got an anvil that's got a bow in it. I can always go to that anvil and straighten stuff. Because you want to go a little bit past where you want it to be straight, and it'll spring back. So if it's got a little swell in the anvil, I'll search those out on anvils to sort of straighten stuff. All righty. Got that. You cut that back. I'm done here. You cut that back now. I tell you what to do. Let's go ahead and put my touch mark in it. While it's got some heat, I'll put a touch mark right there. Now let's do it this way. Yeah, you're okay. I let that stock go to the clean to the end and just touch the end of the fire pot. That fire pot's sort of a heat sink where I got it down to 1/4, 3/16 in thickness. So that's sort of a heat sink, and it's sucking the heat off the end of that steel, hopefully, not to burn that end off. You do that quite a bit with hooks and stuff, and things that's going to you forge out thin. But here again, I'm a big believer also what I call running the forge backwards. When you're away from the forge, let a little air run, put your stock in, cover it up tight, and cut the air off. Let absorption run into the steel. I do that quite a bit. I'll be doing that on this next process here in a second. Right now, I'm going to put my touch mark in that. I thought I'd be real sexy as socks on a rooster here and put a nice handle on my touch mark. For the longest time, I never could get it to really work right. Never really wanted to hold anything correctly because the handle was too rigid. And I'd hit it and it'd be a little this way or that way. And finally I said, just grab it with a pair of tongs and hold it and hit it with that. My touch mark has got a lot in it. It's sort of like having my little Kubota tractor with a 10-foot blade on the front of it trying to push a big brush blade over, or a pile of brush.
Ready?
Yeah.
Turn the way you want it?
Yeah, I'll turn it 180.
Okay.
Right there, stop right there. Okay, most of the time when you do a touch mark or something like that, it's going to bow this way. So I'm going to go ahead and keep my house in order, straighten that up right now. No, I usually just have them drill that on that. None of my others. I should probably do that, Al. Al just made a statement there. It probably could be done. You could punch the hole in the spade with a small But a lot of times, my wife hangs everything up in our house with pins. It's amazing what you can hang with a pin. She does a pretty good job with a rope around my neck. Say, you're staying home tonight. I become wall art there for a little while. I don't really call it art. But so I usually, a lot of times, just drill that hole. Now, if it was any much thickness there, then I'd definitely be doing a punch. Okay, you can back that back up.
What's that?
Cut it off for a second.
Cut the edge there.
Just, yeah. Thank you. The twist is a little bit longer down here because I talked about that earlier. Probably could have gone a little more heat, spending some more time detailing, but I moved on with this, so you'll see a little bit of an issue there. So you could easily come in, get this hot again down here, quench this end off a little up here, get in the vise and twist it. So that's just another part. But I'll pass this around. So that's kind of a finished piece there. Any questions about that? Anybody got a statement? Ideas for changing? A36 mild steel. Hot roll. Is carbon tint, you would know, Ron, is carbon tint for a cold roll versus A36 much difference? I would not think so either, but I have been known, one time I made something and didn't realize it was totally finished. I made it out of tool steel. Some piece of tool steel, alloy steel or something. I didn't know what it was. And when I got it, and I said, well, this thing doesn't flex at all. Fortunately, it didn't break, but I remember making something one time that way. Now, many people follow the Urbana curriculum on level 3, all that, national curriculum. There's a thing they had going on there, and some of the stuff they had a beveled scroll end. And this is what this piece here is called, right here. This scroll here is called a beveled scroll. Clay was the first person, I've told this story on him, so don't get mad at him. So Clay was the first person I've ever seen make this. And he made a little piece, him and Walt Skagman. Actually, I demonstrated it down here several years ago at your old shop. And it's a little corner element, and it's a great, great way of being introduced to traditional joinery, that piece is. It's just got so many little elements in a little piece this big. A lot of them are single pieces, but it's a great element to do. On the back end of that, it had a beveled scroll like this. Several years ago, I called Clay. I wanted to make that thing. I called Clay and I said, how did you make that little scroll? I've told this on it before, so he didn't kill me then. And so he said, I saw Tom Joyce do that scroll in whatever year it was, 1970 something, so-and-so conference out west somewhere. Tom Joyce said it's the most difficult scroll he ever made. Clay quit talking. I kept waiting on the answer, how you do it. Well, we started talking about the weather and everything else. So I went on and tried to do it myself, several things. But anyway, I talked to Clay about a year or so ago, and he admitted to me, he said, I made a die and stamped it in my power hammer, or my treadle hammer. Respect Clay and everything. He has the best die making there is. It's taught me so much about that. But anyway, that was an interesting little comment, and I hope Clay didn't take that wrong when I said that, because he's taught me so much. I just can't say enough thank you. So anyway, back to this scroll here. I'm going to pass these two around right here. And also, I've got a storyboard. It's here somewhere, right here, of doing this. I'll pass this on this side here. Here. And this is the storyboard. First thing you're going to do, I'll pass this behind it. It's going to be number one. You'll notice on the storyboard, it will have 1 here, and 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's the 5 steps it takes to make this piece. So you'll see kind of what I'm getting ready to do. And everything's in order. Nothing's been moved. So you're going to have to bend this piece here, even though it's thin on this side here. I'm going to have to bend it this way. So it's kind of hard. I leave that a little bit thick right there, because I can come back in once I get it into this stage here. I can start thinning this outer edge on, and what that will do, it will make me walk around. It'll bring this around, clock it around a little bit further this way. Everybody follow that? By stretching the outer edge, it makes the inner turn around. So that is one of the things there you're going to have to do. So this is kind of a start of this and this, and then you end up with this. I'm going to start this around, and we're going to talk about why. I like to get into the mechanic side of things. I'm not an engineer, never would be one, not smart enough to be one. But why does that work? Why do we bend that? Several people here may have made sheet metal cones before, to where you're going to make a roof vent going through your roof where a stovepipe's going to go through it, sort of like dunce cap, kind of like that. So the way you make that, and the way you come up with it is, you have a point up here, and your stock is out here, and you come down here. Let me take my, and I carry this belt a lot of times for measuring, as well as this. So I'm going to hold that right there, and I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to draw this arch, just like this. So I cut my sheet metal. I'm going to draw an arch up here too. That's where the opening. So I cut my sheet metal where it does this. So it's the same thing as the scroll there. It's going to be arched like this, and it's only going to be a 3/4 of an inch in width. It's like that. Anybody got any questions on that? This is something kind of new I'm sort of trying to teach this with. Everybody understand what I'm at on this? Please give me feedback. So you can see the stock there in my sample pieces going around, how I bent it to that. So when it gets wrapped around by little hits here, 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 and here over the horn, that's going to wrap that around to where it's going to be flat. You could take this piece of sheet metal and put it in a break or on the edge of your table with a piece, and each keeps crimping this piece right here like this, just crimping it, that, and that, and it'll be round. It'll have flats going like that paper. But that's the mechanic side, or the why a bevel scroll works. It's about the curve in it. Now, actually, I have taken that scroll there, playing around. I just like to my style of forging is gathering information. The more information I can gather on what I'm working on and put it in my head and try to store it and hopefully keep it, that's my problem today, is keeping it, I'll do a much better job of demonstrating as well as making it. So I actually took that little scroll and I made it real small, like that. And I came up here, brought these lines up here and here, and I came down and I laid the whole thing out. And knowing the distance I had to make to wrap it around, so I actually laid it out that way. Now, being that small on that little width, you can make those a lot of adjustments with a pair of scrolling tongs or anything that you want to. It's not a given, but you'll kind of see that's the process of making this happen. Anybody got any questions on that? Y'all too quiet.
But once you end up taking that and doing that 90, do that turn on the last step, does it automatically cup or do you need to cup it?
It will start automatically cupping. Now, sometimes when it comes out to that little point, that will want to go flat with you because it's just not much resistance. If I had that totally 3/4 of an inch or maybe an inch in width on that bevel part, it would stay more uniform. But where it comes to a point, it has a tendency to get distorted there. Now, that being said, if you want to make this and you don't want to put the bevel scroll on it, I've seen this same thing I did years ago with the same hook. And I just came off of those two wings and just took two curved pieces. Just a nice little simple scroll. Just curved out. And they look just as nice. Let me get you a piece of 3/4 stock. Or half of 3/4. Hang on. I had a long bar. What happened to that long bar? Oh. Right here. Right here. No, 1/4 by 22 inches. Yeah, right there.
How long?
Just take a short heat on the end. Just like this. Any questions or anything? The first thing I'm going to do is start bending that over on the end, that little piece, and then I'm going to turn it and come to the side of the anvil here, and I'm going to start drawing it out to the side. Now, I believe you can pull metal with your hammer doing it this way, considerable amount. You will not ever push metal this way. You can almost forget that. But you can catch the stock right here on the edge and hit it at an angled hammer and pull that stock. And it'll pull with you trying to spread it out because that's what I'm wanting to do here. I'm wanting to pull that out. A pair of those 1/2-inch tongs here. No, hang on, let me do these tongs. Let me do these tongs here. Now, so often many of us will use our hands to hold small stock in your hand as you're forging. It will have a tendency to twist within your hand. Even though I'm squeezing the crap out of that, I can still twist this file back and forth. So when you're forging narrow stock, if you don't want to use tongs, bend an end on it, bend a loop, bend a handle, because it will walk with you real easy, and you'll get all of a sudden your stock will start corkscrewing with you. So if you use tongs to hold even small stock like this, real true when you go to round stock. At this stage, I'm looking for anything that's kind of got a flat on it or somewhere as I'm pulling that out. I'm going to kind of clean up my hammer marks. Whoops. So I'm at the second part of what that little storyboard said here. I'm going to clean this up a little bit right here. Here again, I'm a big believer in keeping your house in order. So this right here is sort of where I'm at. The thickness is I'm leaving probably 3/30 seconds. Yeah. This eventually is going to be this right here. That's kind of what I got there. Very similar to the sample piece I just gave you. Now, if I had time, just because I never have to make a living doing this stuff, I'd probably go to this end and forge identical to that. If you're going to have to forge the opposite end identical, do it while it's being forged. I'm going to go ahead, though, and make this one. I'll hopefully make this one as close to that one as I possibly can. But just walk back and forth doing each end, because I've got to put one on this end, I've got to put one on that end. Okay? I find for me on doing the bevel scroll or these scrolls here, I have a hard time doing one on the left. I think which side it is I can do. I think I can do this one easier going over the horn than I can this one. Because the way you have to place it over the horn to do this. Maybe the camera will pick up on the horn on this. You got that wide? Because I'll be going there in a minute. First thing I'm going to do is go to the horn, and I'm going to bend it the hard way, that thin part up. I'm going to bend that over. I'm going to use my leather hammer. Heat is your friend, so I'm going to tell Tom to turn his air on right now, get it going good. We're going to pack the coal down good and tight. I'm going to get that coal real white hot, because I've got a real thin piece here right now. And I'm going to get that coal real white hot. Bury it down in there. Pat the baby's butt on top of it. Cut the air off. And just let absorption run into that. You hear me say it again, reduces the opportunity of that to burn up. It's not going to stop it ever, but it reduces it. And every once in a while, if you're working on something that's real thick doing this, you got something, a lot of mass in the back, it's sucking up the heat, you might have to return the air on, off and on. But I find I come out here, turn the air on one time, Tom. Okay. Now go ahead and let it run. Let your air run. Use the side of my anvil quite a bit. Pulling this around. Right now, I've pretty much got like a U in it. I want to bring that tip around a little bit more. So I'll probably use the edge of the anvil doing that. He's got a good fire going there. Okay. That's good. Let that run for just a second. Cut it off. When something is, you're bending or forming, if it's got an even heat on it and the stock is about the same thickness, it will bend evenly. The even heat will bend evenly. So when you're heating stuff up, naturally it's going to be a little, most of your tips or curls are going to be a little bit thinner on the end. So you hit that a little bit lighter, but the backside will be evenly all the way through. Okay, turn it back on, Tom. Cut it off. I was hitting the outer edge, you might have seen on the screen, of the hook, of the curved part, which was stretching the outer edge, and I was bringing that around. I still got that tip that got away from me in the very beginning, not getting curled around enough. So I'm having to fight that a little bit. Okay. I need to come around a little bit more with it. I'd like to bring that around a little bit more, clock it this way. So I'm going to do a little of that. Plus, this backside here, on this backside here, is straight like the letter P. I don't want that. I want that to be a swoop curve coming in also. The backside here, I want it to be a curve also, lightly forming. I want this to be coming off of this scroll here, not going to straight immediately. I want it to be a long, kind of a gradual curve back. Hit it one more time. I'm using the flat. This right here is a little piece of copper. We're using that to hit that with. It's real flat, so it works real well. Stretching that outer edge just a little bit, making it clock in. Now I'm going to bend this part that was straight over just a little bit. Cut it off. Bend that slight radius on it. I'm going to start right here. Oops. I said about training your eye, sometimes it can be the devil in you too. I could see about a 64th of an inch there that had just a little bit of a piece sticking up. Just didn't look right. So it can be the devil in you, it can be a big curse. So that being said, this part here is done at this point, and then I'm going to come in next and I'm going to curve that around. But I just want everybody to see it. How are we doing on time? 10, 15? Okay. Okay. Did I pass the other piece around the double end? Did it come around? The double end piece? One of these was on each end. Okay. This is sort of where I'm at right now. Or not where I'm at, well, halfway there. Take a little slight break.
What's that?
I'm gonna take a slight break. Get a piece of water.
Oh, yeah.
You need water?
No, I got to find every water right over there.
Okay. Okay. Doing repetitious work, you need to match. Just take your time. I say this quite a bit on the beginning students. You sneak up on it. You don't try to rush into it. You just kind of sneak up on your finished product. So take your time, think about cleanness, think about perfection, and you'll try to get there slowly. Don't try to do the whole thing with one-hit wonder. The old stupid joke is told many years ago, you know how to catch a unique rabbit? Unique up on it. You know how to catch a tame rabbit? Tame way, unique up on it. So just kind of unique up on this stuff. Just take your time getting there. Don't try to do it in a lot of one-hit wonders. Just take your time doing it. Any questions?
She asked how you stand the heat.
Just do it. Change t-shirts a lot. I don't want to cry my own beer, but my brother's been sick for about 60 days. He just left our house on Friday or Sunday, I think it was. So 40 of those days I was at a hospital, 50 some odd days, so I didn't get to do much prep work. So the last few days have been, let's go, got to go do it. And so there was a lot of t-shirts hanging up in my shop, drying out. Stay hydrated, take Pedialyte. I'm gonna say those are probably the biggest things. Jeff Derrick told me you can flush out your salts with too much water. If you drink too much water, it's just as bad as not having any water. That's what he says. So you got to have some electrolytes to go with it. So be sure and take a little electrolytes and stuff while you're doing this. Trash can. Thank you. All righty.
It's hot. Might be hot enough already.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Now we're going to try to repeat what we're doing. It's always the hardest part. Somebody once told me, might have been Clay, said, boy, it looks good, now make 20 more. And see how close they are. Yeah, that's correct. I did this one time, kind of like that cartoon where they had the guy making the canoe. One end went up, one end went down. I did this one time like that. Most of the time when I do this, I'll usually hit the same end down here. Just say, okay, that's how I want it to be. One more heat. You can let that air run lightly when I come out. It's okay. It's all right. So I've sort of done that same bend again that we showed earlier. And I'm going to start carrying this around. I left this out here a solid 1/16 of an inch thick, maybe 3/32. If you'll notice, I always talk about pretty close fractions and stuff, or decibel. It's just my sickness that I have that I just can't get away from not working tight tolerances. I love forging tight tolerances. The challenge of doing that is just really very rewarding. I know it's kind of scary to cover up a thin piece of metal like that, but you'll get kind of used to it, where you get used to not doing it, not worried about it. The timing of the forge, knowing your coal, the fuel that you're using, how much heat it's going to produce. I do quite a bit of hits where I put this against my leg here, and I draw my hammer straight down the line like this, rolling things up. When I make hooks, quite often, that's the way I do. Okay. That old leather, or that leather hammer will start stinking pretty bad. Up here, it gets kind of a stinky smell. Probably got a little a hide maybe left in, a little hair. You cut that back in. Cut that back right now. Cut it back. What I was trying to get there, let me get a little bit more of it so it's a little more pronounced. Where I failed a little bit earlier, and I fought I'm trying to get this bend right here established. Where I had one earlier, it was a little bit too straight. It's a little right on the tip. You want to get that established pretty early in the process, bringing that around. Right here, you want to get that established right there before you go too much further. That tip right in there. Well, the other one I have is a little bit too straight, and I had to fight it, trying to get it to look the same. Talking about that pitch there, Marshall. Right in that area right there, that's where I'm trying to get some bent. The other one I have is a little bit straight, and I went a little bit too far. You could. I always just try to thin it there. I've got 80% of that hammered down. I can detail the last little amount to where I've got the same amount on each end where they match. He asked an interesting question. I'll just scroll it around and then do the outside. And I've thought about what you're saying many times. And that would pull it around. And that would probably be really good, except you have hammered down here, but you hammer the end of the mass here, this part, the thin part there. But I would try it in a heartbeat, Al, but I just found working this way works good for me. It's kind of like going down the highway. Why'd you turn here? My daddy turned here. So this could easily be done. And I've thought about what you said. You could scroll it with a full thickness on it, then come in and finish it, and that would pull that in tighter. Because you're going to be stretching that outer edge, that's going to make that scroll come tighter. Good question, Al. I like to put a little heat in the back of the stem. I call that my savings and loan bank. I'll be pulling from that heat to keep the other part hot a little bit longer. So I brought heat down this way, so it allows me to work a little bit longer. Pretty close right there. Now I'm doing what Al said there a minute ago, and I'm just going to kind of finish it up now. Maybe a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take my pencil and okay. Cool it off. Because we're doing two side by side, I want this to match as close as I possibly can. That looks real good right there. A lot of times when you're doing this, it's not a bad idea to have a register mark back there somewhere, maybe like mark center off or something. But in this case, I'm forgiven because we're not having to fit it in a box, like a frame or something. This could grow a little bit here and there, and I come back and pick up center later by measuring here to here. But those two there are very close. Looks like a canoe, sort of. I used to do a lot of whitewater paddling. Hadn't done it in several years. righty. Now, hold that, just cut your hair off for a second. Now you saw the sample piece that got sent around, the storyboard piece. So we're at this stage here right now, basically. This eye here is a little bit bigger just because when I was making this, I wanted this particular one a little bit larger. That's the subject. But you're getting ready to see all these little lines. That's where I'm going to start trying to bend this. And when I start bending it down, just like right here, start rolling that around, these lines right here in that piece of paper, it's going to make the cone. Y'all see why? Because this right here basically started off like this right here. Y'all see that? Basically, it's going to start off just like that if you continued that on around. This could be drawn just like this it wanted to be. They'd be drawn just like that. So that would represent the point on this piece here. Everybody understand that? I find for myself, I've got to kind of teach myself, I could do one direction, but I had a hard time doing another direction. And I found that on several things over the years in blacksmithing. I had a hard time being ambidextrous on that, working both sides. And I've actually had people, I said, hey, I'm having a hard time forging on this way. Can you forge this? You're good. You forge left-handed, I'll forge right-handed or something. All right. Yeah, bring that back up pretty hot. Let's see. That bottle of water again. Here. Would not hurt.
Hey, Ronnie, grab another bottle of water for
Start with this tip right here like this. Now I'm going to start on this tip right here. I'm going to try to bend that down. Now the tip will always want to ride up with you, so I'm keeping that in order right now. So I'm kind of hitting here and walking this around like this. The tip wants to ride up. I carry that back down. And you can kind of see what's beginning to happen. That's sort of the beginning of it. I'm taking my time, not trying to do this all in one heat. I want to sneak up on it. I finally get that bevel the right angle that I'd like for it to be. You can kind of see the angle there. There's the angle there. You see the angle. Now, a little thing that I've picked up on doing these, when you're looking at in your tongs and it's to your right, you want to twist your tongs counterclockwise. Why? Because I want this piece that's coming out like this, it's between my tongs. I want the tongs to go flat and this go under it. So I have to I'm twisting the metal. So you want to take your hand and gradually bring that around. So that's going to take the outer edge of the inside of that radius and be on up in the air. See, the outer edge will be on the anvil, and so I'll be knocking the inside down. But now the inside will be on the anvil, and I'll be knocking the outside down. So that's what, yeah.
Can you use the cone over there next to the camera to get that rounded?
Can I use what now?
Cone man. Cone man right there by the table.
You could, but it'd be real difficult because you're working this way. Now the cone would be a good anvil to go to clean it up. This anvil here is also a very good anvil to go to clean it up and detail it, yes. But it doesn't really form. You have to kind of, like I said, each bend has to be bent. If you could take a pair of, I believe you could take a pair of scrolling tongs, go in and just kind of tweak it around, it would form that edge. Maybe not as smooth and nice doing it this way. Might be some steps in it, but it would do the same thing, because that's what you're doing here. One more heat. They say there's a person, I've seen her, Beth, on YouTube video. On YouTube, she does a real good explanation of this. Let's see the. Want a little more heat if you don't mind. I'm going to do one more thing and I'll be done with this one. Right now, you remember I talked about earlier about that letter P coming straight out and going out. It sort of has that look. So I want to bring that a little more curved so it just won't go up there and all of a sudden kick to your right, making the letter P. Not much heat. Hit lightly. Look often. Very nice there. That's done many times. Yes, pardon me. Tom here. We did the level 3 grill at our local forge, and Tom was involved on that, and he knows about bevel scrolls. I learned so much teaching that about these things, because that's how you learn more than anything, is teach it. But you got to begin to think about, because you're going to have Tom and all the other students real mad at you. About middle of the day, you say, "Oh, I found a better way." I was lucky. Now I got to be lucky for one more. I recommend starting with quarter by half on doing these, sort of like what I had before. The 3/4 by quarter that the Banner has you do, it's a little bit more difficult. Now, old saying, that looks good, now make me 100 more just like that. So that's where we're at right now. Gotta do another one. Any comments or questions on this? I don't know. I haven't worked wrought iron enough. I bought a bunch of wrought iron up at sofa years ago. I forgot who brought it down here. Somebody over in North Carolina had it. And I felt like I haven't yet used any wrought iron. I've never even forged it. I thought someday I'll do a project worthy to do it in wrought iron. But someday, I'll be turning 75 this year, so someday, another 20 years, y'all come by it. It'll probably still be sitting there. Hopefully be another at least 20 years. Okay, you cut your hair off. Okay, let's do this again. I forgot who quoted it. They said, heat is your friend. Somebody else quoted it to me, and I learned it. Heat is your friend. Somebody quoted it, and I've always picked it up. Everything I've learned, I got from somebody else. There's nothing original about me, except this old ugly face. Huh? Yeah. Do what? Yeah. I've got that started right there. Y'all can kind of see it's going pretty good. I'll have to go back and I want to bring a little more angle on it. So I'll hold the inside against the horn, inside part of it, and work the outside down. I'll go ahead and pitch it now. I'm doing a class in November for this little part here, this little thing here, in November at the folk school, and use a few more students in it. But it has 2 bevel scrolls, blown over leaf scroll, a welded collar, a water leaf, and a spade up there on top. It's a good sampler. Okay. Oops. A little heat in that backside. Need a little heat in that backside right there so I can twist that around. Right now, we're at that stage of forging is fast, tweaking is forever. So I'm at the tweaking stage. Got a little tweaking I need to do to this. there.
Ron, will you still buy those ballots like that when you change the heads on them?
Yeah, they're not cheap. You can find them on used. I suspect because the level 3 grill has run these up quite a bit. They've been quite a demand. I get my mallets. I get my leather from McMaster and Carr. Yeah. When I worked in a dye shop, we had a lot of these great big ones like this. We'd smack the back of a die and knock it down. I was pretty skinny, a little fart, but I'd have to stand on a milk crate and get back and smack that die to shear a piece of metal underneath it to do a test. I worked with an old feller, like a lot of people in that industry. He was never happy. And he'd grab that hammer out of my hand. Get out of here. I don't know whatever made him be happy, but it sure wasn't me. Probably 2.5 years of my miserable life being there. I wanted to learn it real bad. I put up with him, and I saw him years later. I always said I'd tell him something, but I didn't. But I might go pee on his grave. No, grudges. I pee lightly. Yeah, it's still not there, Tom. Got a little more tweaking to do. It's getting there close. I got that from reading. I like racing stuff. I got that peeing on somebody's grave from Smokey Eunuch. He said 50 great drivers and one a-hole. He said, I peed on his grave too. Yeah, a whole lot of work for a little tap. Now, this end here, looking at it this way, has a little bit of a plane this way. So, like I said, I keep my house in order all the time. Now, that thing's gonna get bent around here in a minute, but I want it to be perfect before I start bending around. I want it to be as perfect as I can get it. Because I know where I'm at. If I start off with something that's not plumb, and I say I'll fix that later down the road, I've got issues fighting the rest of the way. My wife helped me build my own house we live in. She got tired of me checking plumb, level, and square. But if you ever frame a house and you won't have to put the trim inside of it, you're glad you made it plumb, level, and square. Close right there. That's pretty good right there. As a good blacksmith friend of mine, Bob Gillen, says, pretty good shape for the shape we're in, so I think we're in pretty good shape on this right now. Remember that piece is 22 inches long. I've got a little surprise later on, something I learned strictly by accident that blew me away. We're going to talk about it here a little bit later when I get this done. Hopefully I'll have about 15 minutes left over. Let's go ahead and catch this off. Got a rag. Had a rag over here a minute ago, didn't we? Whoa! I wasn't ever too good at baseball. Yeah. Pretty close. So this is kind of what we got here. Y'all probably see some mistakes in it, so I hadn't seen them yet, but there's probably something not that's perfectly even. Pass that for me. Now I'm going to catch center of this, mark on the side of it with a center punch. We'll bend a 90 right there, or 180 degree bend right back on itself. Leave a little gap. We'll slip it over the end of this piece here, force weld that on, and draw that out to make the hook. Let's see my...
I've been making myself practice right hand. I'm working on a project now that's got to be home. Nothing really good for it.
About 14 3/4. 7 3/8.
Yeah. He can go that big guy. Oh, really? Yeah, when he gets tired of the walk. And that sucker swings a hammer like nobody I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about people swinging a hammer. If y'all know Mitch Latch, he saddles up to an anvil. He reminds me of a sumo wrestler. He gets all big and he just, all of a sudden, bam, 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 bam. And here he goes. Awful close. crank it on. Pedal down, pedal down. Now I'm gonna bend that all the way back, hopefully. I'll probably have to work some on the horn. I'll be doing some sweeping strokes because I've got my little dot where I want it to be in the center. I want that to be as close as I can possibly be. So if you do a kind of a sweeping stroke as it's pulled over, you can pull that metal around this way and make it longer if you need to be, or turn it over and sweep the other way. I found you can pull metal to you, you can never push it. No ruler. Folding ruler. It's probably here somewhere. It's in my pocket here. You scrape off the dot. You always have that little dot right where you scrape it. It's usually got a black piece in it there. The dot will capture a little piece of carbon if in there. Water. There's my water bucket. Right there, that's right. Probably so. Probably so. That's what I got in my home too, but kind of like that when it rolls around and gets lost also. Any questions or statements or? You got anything? Yeah. My little tool I probably put up here. Oh. Oh, here it is. This is a little tool that I came up with, and I was actually made it to open up little crosses when I make crosses. And this thing here has really been handy for a lot of different things. Heat that up in there. Bring that around a little closer. Okay, when I put this in, we're going to cut it off right there. Yeah, cut it off. Cut the air off.
What'd you say?
Cut the air off. I just put that whole little scroll and everything, that thin part, the bevel part, inside the fire, because it's got sort of a long radius. When I was bending it up here, it's had some heat and it moved out of the way. So I'm having to bring that back around. So here again, I'm running the forge backwards. He had it really, really hot. That thing's real, real thin. Y'all know how thin that was. So I'm able to bend that back, hopefully, without that scroll or that bevel part burning up. Yep. That's sort of what I'm looking for right there. Symmetrical. Tom, come here just a second. Hold that piece just like this.
Okay.
Right, hold it right there. Okay. Yep. That's good. What happened right there is just a little trick. This had a little flat right in here. It needed to be hit down right there. So I put this right here like this. I held Tom on the other end, and I hit right here. So that pushed. That had a little kink. It went up like a pitch of a roof right there. Now I want to get that out. Okay. Go ahead and cut that back. We're getting ready to forge weld now. Let's see, the piece that I finished is right here. This is done here. Touch mark in the back. So this piece here is going to be inserted just like this into it. This piece is going to be inserted into that right there and be forge welded. Right there. I'm going to open that up just a little bit. So I go over this nice little step right here, which is pretty handy. Open that up just a touch like that. Okay, Tom. That's the back side there. That all looks good there. When you're doing this, make sure you got your piece not reversed. Putting it on the back side, make sure everything's looking correct here. So it'd be a bad deal right now to have to.
I had a lot of clinkers.
Okay, Tom's cleaned that out. So we're going to get a clean fire here to do this forge weld. I had forged for several years. Clay was saying how good I was doing, and a lot of people were saying how good I was doing, but I had a secret. I couldn't forge weld. I put everything together with tenons, rivets, anything I could avoid forge welding. I always said if I had to go down the street and make 5 forge welds, it was only 100 feet I had to walk, I'd walk a mile this way to keep doing 5 forge welds. So I had to get over that. So I woke up one morning real early, which I quite often do, and go to the shop 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It's my best time to work. Love going to their shop about that time of the morning. So what I did, I had a big old rack of flat steel, just everything there, all kinds of drops and cuts and everything. And so I just started picking up flat bar, put it in the forge, because first I was trying to teach myself I was doing scarves. Well, it would fail, and I'd screw the scarf up. And so I just started doing flat bar, and I just lay a piece of flat bar on the top like that, 90 degrees perpendicular to it, and I'd hit it, it welded. I just kept doing that and over and over and over for several hours, making just all kinds of crazy looking pieces off of that. And that's how I learned to forge weld. I didn't do a scarf one because I found if I was doing scarves, the scarf failed, then my weld would fail. So then I started doing scarves and I got better at that. Watch this weld fail here. But overall, I've had pretty good success at forge welding. So if you're having a hard time forge welding, don't get into all the meat and potatoes of scarves and all that. Just take flat bar. Bring it out of the fire, put it in there as close as you can in the fire. There's going to be an even heat, and it's close like that. And then you just bring it out. There's an even heat. You just bring it over and hit it. Practice. I remember Dave Custer telling me when he was first starting. He said, I bet I did 25 drop tong welds without ever putting it in the fire. You come out, drop the tong, hit it. He said, I probably did 25 of those just getting that little dance down. So just practice on a lot of stuff like that. Just practice flat bar, then get into scarves and that kind of stuff. But everybody was saying, boy, you're doing some fantastic work. But I had a secret they didn't know about. There should be 2 flux spoons in there. Yeah, this one right here. Let's use this one. I made this one several years ago, and it's got a little sexy leaf that goes through and all that. It's been sitting in my bathroom for a long time in the shop. I lived in my shop for 4 years while I built my house. So that's how I ended up with a nice shop. Okay, Tom, let's get some heat on that. Hopefully it will. I've been known to have to drive it with another pair of tongs, come out with it. And I'm going to flux it in the fire. I usually don't do that often, but on this I am. I'm going to get Tom to back the oxygen down just a little bit. I find oxygen is the biggest contaminator of forge welding. So you want to get a fire. No, just back it down a little bit. That's fine. Yep. Yeah, right. Where'd I put right here? It's doing fine. That. Another pair of tongs here. Another pair of tongs here. This right there. Yep. Doorbell. going to try to stick that right now.
Say again?
Whoops. I'm going to try to stick that right now. All I'm wanting to do right now is stick it. That's good right there. Put that in water.
Say again?
Put that in the water, the end of that spoon. Oh, it's got to keep water over there. Okay. Thank you. Okay, give her some fuel, Tom. Back it off just a little. About right there. Back it off just a little.
About halfway one more.
Yeah, just a touch more.
Off.
Up.
Up.
Up, Whenever I'm forge welding, most of the time, I like to cut the air totally off. Count about 3 to 5. Hopefully there's any mill scale that burns off that point. All right. When I come out, give it a lot of oxygen.
Okay.
Trying to keep that covered up. I don't want it high in the fire, burning off all the oxygen coming out of the bottom of the fire pot. Okay. I'm going to brush off quite a bit of that just old flux and stuff, just get rid of it because it's kind of used up, and I'm going to put a little bit more on it on the back side of it here. Okay, cut the air back. Tom brought that up to a real good white heat while I was away from the forge. Now going back to what I preached earlier, saying let absorption run into that steel, reducing the amount of oxygen, which hopefully will make the weld a little more efficiently to be welded. Hopefully. Oxygen, in my opinion, is what kills welding, just like it does when you're stick welding, gas welding, or anything like that. You get TIG welding, you lay your torch a little too much angle, it sucks air under. MIG welding the same way. Oxygen is the number one enemy on any kind of welding. Okay, get more air. Okay, turn it off. Either I'm gonna get my cataract surgery fixed or get some new glasses. I'm focused about right here for my glasses now. So it's either get down closer or get some new glasses. Okay. Give it a little air. Okay, let her run. Okay. The piece got off center just a little bit. The piece I was wrapping was 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch. It moved down to one side about a 32nd of an inch. So I had to kind of work the steel, just work it back and forth. I finally come up with what I think will work. Okay. Begin to pull the point down on here right now, and I'm kind of working my way back that way. I wish to pass it around, but I hate to lose my heat. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to start drawing that hook out. 20 after. That's what I'm making. Yeah. I need to give Tom a lot of credit because he's never made this with me before. So this is the only third attempt with actually 5 attempts with 2 failures. So give Tom a big round of applause for that. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
Okay.
It's going to be something that you will, it's going to blow your socks off.
Something I can relate to.
Yes, but we just didn't, it was hard for me to believe what I discovered. It was kind of embarrassing, but I just knew I was correct. Come find out I was wrong. I mean, that's not supposed to happen. Oh yeah, I did a lot of whitewater paddling and built a lot of stuff too. They put up a thing at work, a canoe going up, and going down the other end, sitting on the sawhorses. Remember that going around? Yeah, put a twist in your canoe. I'm gonna roll that end up. Got a little bend in it there. Let's see if I can take that out. Yeah. Training your eye is so important. Like I said, it can be very much your enemy also. If you start working it too critical, and I have the tendency to do that, I apologize, but what is perfect? You know, it's never perfect, but what is? I always shoot for perfection and fail with something halfway decent. One more heat on the end. I'll probably just leave those out like that. These being so wide, I'll probably just leave. We can pull them if we need to. Thank you, Tom. Go ahead and put the finial on it now. I'm going to put the little finial on the end. Everybody remembers now when you do a finial on a hook, it goes on the back side of the hook at this stage. I would not be the first time I did it backwards. Huh? I am. I'm gonna heat that centerpiece and pull that up some more. I am. Just go ahead and cut the heat back. Right now, the two sides are coming out quite a bit of an angle like this. I want to kind of pull them in a little bit. Remember one thing. It's a statement I learned a long time ago. Forging is fast. Tweaking is forever. So I'm gonna have to pull the plug on tweaking here in just a minute. But I got a little more of this to show. Okay. Yeah. Cup of water for quenching. Oh, right there. I'll do it right there. Okay. Cut the airway back. Getting ready to do the hook now, so I'm going to come out. I'll quench the end with a little finial swirled around so we don't crush it. Then I'm going to go to the horn and roll it over. I might walk around this side of the horn and do it over here because I do my hammer on the side, not straight across. A little bit of air. Okay. Get enough heat on that. That thing twisted in my tongs. I didn't.
Yeah.
That piece just twisted in my tongs. I was gripping this, I didn't grip it hard enough, so I got kind of a corkscrew going on the end of that piece. I never make any mistakes. Sitting there. Any questions? Almost too much. Huh? Yeah. We've all done this before. Right now I'm searching the bottom of that fire pot as we're getting closer to the end. I've got a little bit of a crook in it way up right where the Y bends off there, and I need to straighten that up right now. That looks a lot better. Old saying looks mo better. Mo better. Any questions or statements or disagreements or whatever? Now, 90% of the time when you make a hook, the back side is like a seesaw. You push down that opposite side over here on the horn, the back side is going to raise up. Seesaw goes down on this side, that side's going to go up. So always go back to the horn, catch it on the end, and catch it straight down one hit to take that long curve on the back side out. All righty. I think I'm going to clean this up, and we're in pretty good shape. Anybody got any questions or? Everybody's too quiet now. I'm going to warm this up here a little bit, Tom. We'll clean this up here a little bit. Pardon me?
How much weight can you hang on that hook?
How much weight?
Yeah, more than the nail probably.
More than a nail ever hold. But you'll be surprised, the shear weight of a nail is huge. I've looked at some statistics on making stuff on lumber, and the shear weight is pretty large, it's pretty high. Put that end down here.
Yeah, looking a long way. Am I seeing it?
You seeing it?
Yes.
Okay.
If I can't cock that way, you can't hold it just a little bit.
My teacher here just corrected me. I got a little roll in that hook. You got better eyes than I got. And it is. All righty. Now, if you get the wax out in there, some brushes. Yeah. That's good.
All right. I'll get this open.
Yeah. Now, if you go, I got it there. Thank you. Now, if you will open up that other ammo box and get out my scales and stuff, everything in there. Travis, you still using the men wax? I used it the other night. It works good. I brought some down that I use elsewhere. Now, I'm not selling y'all any marijuana or any drugs, but I'm showing my scales here. It's something I started doing several years ago, and I discovered something that just, old saying, it blew my skirt up. Do what? Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll go in and out of water one time with this. What do I do with the brush? Front of it.
Look for?
That old brush. Makes this old back bend over one more time. Thank you for telling me where it went. Y'all never drop anything, do you? Put enough, put enough coal dust in it, smooth that out a little bit. Looks real nice. I never done that before though. Like I told you earlier, forging is fast, tweaking is forever. We could probably spend another 15, 30 minutes on this. But I've got another 15 or 20 minutes here. That's pretty interesting information I discovered by making this. There it is. Do not touch.
Can I tell you a joke?
What's that?
What does James Bond's doorbell sound make?
Like James Bond doorbell.
What sound did it make?
What is it? Bam, 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 bam?
Song.
Tong. Ding dong. Okay. I figured it'd be gunshots. It's just a simple spade hook. That's all it is, with window dressing. Now you don't have to do the bevel scrolls. You can just make scrolls that come up and wings, like little wings. Anything you want to do. Any questions? Statements? Well, Al asked earlier, how many did I have to fail doing this? This one was the second one. The other one I had around here is the first one. Actually, this one was the fourth one. So, okay, that was right here. So anyway, we're going to talk about the failure and why it failed. Several years ago, I came up with the idea, and it has worked very successful, of figuring mass out with weight. So, where's my scales? I used to balance, well, machined a lot of pistons for some of the race car people, and I'd like to send them back to them pretty close to right weight, pretty close, and I'd use these scales. I found these scales at Clark's Junkyard up in Murfreesboro. Found a man out there. I think it came from the GE plant. So I would take mass, and I'd take this piece here, and I would take this piece here. We'll just take both of these pieces, and I'd put it right there. That's what it took to make that whole thing. Right? Right. Watch this. Why is it not balancing? The same amount of mass you saw me a minute ago. That's correct. How much you think? Well, I'm looking for it here somewhere. Well, I'm not seeing it. 4 inches. I lost 4 inches, a quarter by half. 4 inches. If I find it in here, I've got a piece cut off 4 inches somewhere. Because I figured when I did this before, I said, oh, that'll work. Well, I made this at 18 inches. I made this one at 20 inches. But I couldn't, it just blew me away. I said, what's going on? Mass is mass. I wished I could find a piece of, it was somewhere around here, a piece of short, piece a 1/4 inch by 4 inches long. No, I don't think so. It'd make a little small piece. Oh, right here. No, right here. Well, these are his amble spacers. Anyway. Under the hammer? Here? No, that's my touch mark there. Anyway, here's a piece right here, this much mass. Let's just see what that does. That's about right there. It's pretty close. I lost that much mass. That right there is 3/8 by 3/8 with a piece of 1/4 by 1/2 welded on the end of it. That's what blew me up, blew me away. That much mass was lost in the forge weld and drawing it out. What do you think? I would not either. I never would have dreamed. What it was, I had a piece that I had actually cut 4 inches long that balanced out right. And it might have got pulled out, dropped down. But that much mass burned up in the fire. Never would have dreamed it. So like I said, when I first did it, I laid that up there. I knew the 9-inch piece was a given. I balanced it out, and I came out with this piece. I said, well, that ain't right. Can't be right. So I went to 20 inches, and I came up with this piece, a little bit longer. And I said, I'm going to go to, I remember the first one because I was measuring center. And I said, it's either 18 where it's 9, because I remember it was an odd number when I was measuring halfway. So it ended up being 11 to the center, and I measured from the bar stock. But when I did this actually, I discovered this yesterday or a couple of days ago, and I was like, wow, that blew me away, that much mass lost. But back to what I was talking about, though, if you don't overforge something and you're not working a whole lot, and you've got an unknown piece of metal, but you might have, you don't know how much this whole scroll elaborate was made, if it's not a lot of forge welding in it, and I'm going to assume the forge welding and drawing that out is where I lost most of my mass. You can work scales a lot and figure out the length of something that you need over here. Any questions or thoughts? Yeah, when I discovered this earlier, a few days ago, I said, well, the scale idea, I'm going to throw it out the window. Because that's, it didn't work for some reason. But then I realized, I made another one, I realized that it was not the scale that was the problem, but it was burning up that much mass. Which, like Al says, I would have bet $1,000 bill that you'd never burn that much mass up in that steel.
You're convinced it was in the forge weld rather than the scaling through the whole process?
Wasn't a huge amount of scale, but I believe that during the whole process, lost some, but I think the majority of it is when I was drawing that piece of steel out. Some lost in the fire, some in mass, I don't know where. But I don't know where it went. I really don't know where it went. I'm just guessing at that. But that's just a finding that I found. I've used that little scales for a lot of stuff by figuring mass or something I need to forge out and get it pretty close. And but that right there blew me away.
On the next one, you have to weigh it at different stages and see which days you lose the most.
Exactly. I could have maybe, if I make another one just playing with it, I could just stick the weld together, weigh it, and see what it weighs. Yeah.
Weigh it during the process.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing there, Marshall. That's right. But I just found it to be interesting, and I wanted to share that because you guys down here are great, great blacksmiths, and the way I look at blacksmithing, the more I understand what's going on, why I'm working, understand the metal, what's the processes, what's happening, the better blacksmith I'll be. So just try to understand what's happening on every hit and why things are doing what they do. I tell students all the time, please ask the question, why? I was fortunate enough to crew for a pretty good drag racing team. We've national champions, met several times, points championship in the South here. And one of the members there, you'd say something, let's be reading the spark plugs or something, and said, let's bump the time in 2 or lean it up on the top end a little bit or something. And it was a blown alcohol car. And so one guy, the driver, would ask, why? And I grew up sort of around that team. He wanted to know, and the owner did too, why are you doing that? Tell me the reasons behind it. So instead of just saying, I hit this piece of steel, understand why. Understand what's going to go on. And that will continue through your life ever since you'll hit a piece of steel to the last piece of steel you ever hit, in my opinion. Because you're continuously learning about stuff. Anyway, I got 10 minutes time.
Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody coming. Got a brown nose.